was a tooth cow. I thought tooth number. That's right. Gone up to 3,000. I didn't know where you lived. From Mount Carmel to the Mission Center, it's proposed to have this type of
This is a roundabout.
I know.
It just helps. So instead of having to come to a stop, like a four-way stop, you can just keep going around this and go whichever direction that you want to go.
We don't live in New York. We live in Bryant.
Where? The promenade over in Little
This is just an advancement. It's, stop signs were popular years ago, but now roundabouts have been proven to show that flows traffic better.
You know what I'm wondering is, are they big enough for a school bus to get around?
When we design these, when doing the final design, we will run a program called Auto Turn to make sure that a certain design vehicle will fit around it, and it'll probably be a school bus.
Okay. And I would think that whenever they have festivals here at the park, that people will bring an RV or some sort of a vending truck with a trailer that needs to get around there.
Well, when they have football, softball games and all that kind of stuff, they have to bring their
Well, see, none of these houses
Right.
belong to none
Right.
of these people.
So
they don't care. I want to know something. When you do all the, before
now these
you
are in
do
Conway too.
yes, they have no Conway. How does it work over there?
Well, that's the reason I asked about the school bus, because my aunt was a school bus driver, and I don't know if theirs are any bigger or smaller, but she was saying that she had a hard time getting a school bus around.
Well, take the funds, you're going to do
Buses are pretty long.
Right.
That's an HGD
But,
job. That'll be that's a state highway.
Like I said, I don't know if there's a difference in the width, how far you. I can see though how it'd be much easier than say a four-way stop, because you can
they'll
just
do curb cuts through here.
keep going.
It'll be flush. It'll be nice when they put it back.
Because you don't have stop signs enough. If people would understand how to
But they
drive
don't need
around them, that's the thing.
Right.
And they would have to be educated.
Yeah, there needs to be education on it. I would assume
They
there's
have
going to be
comment cards.
signs
They'll
here to
tell
say
about the
on,
comment cards
one way.
if you have comments about
But
that.
as far as what's there in the middle, is that up to the city of whatever they want to put there?
I don't know.
Like it could be just grass at
See, right here.
first, and then later they might decide.
We're going to put the middle in.
This is going to be grassed.
Just grass.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
so the city could decide on anything they want to put there later on.
Right. Typically, they like to leave this open so that you need to be able
So
to
you
see
can
all the
see
way
past,
across.
yeah.
Right.
Okay, this red here, is that going to be like that right there?
It would probably be similar to this, yes, ma'am.
And it looks like cobblestone, but it's
It can be a couple of different things.
it's-
This is actually a stamped asphalt. They take something and just press it into the asphalt
Right.
once they heat it up, and it makes it look like a brick pattern.
pretty cool.
Well,
And
Yeah, take that median lane out. Median out.
I was thinking there was a plan for another roundabout.
That'd make better sense.
On the other plan over there.
Oh, I'm
There's
not seeing
one
the whole. There's just two different plans, or
well, yes, ma'am. It's too long. This goes from Woodland Park down to
Okay,
Reynolds Road,
gotcha.
and the other one is from Woodland Park down to.
so it's just the rest of the
Mount
street.
Carmel.
Gotcha.
They're putting it right
Okay.
here in front of my house.
Yes, sir. The buffer zone separate people walking on the side.
Well, the
In case
traffic,
somebody jumps this
the
curb
traffic
right
there
there.
isn't there.
Oh, there it is. Okay, and that is Mount Carmel.
Oh yeah, I like the.
If I could get everybody's attention for just a minute. If I could get your attention for just a second here. We're going to go ahead and, we've already started. We're listening to your comments. We're here to listen to what you have to say. We want to hear what your comments are, but most important, we want to have you to write your comments down. We have this table over here where Heather is sitting. We have pens and some paper over here for you to write all your comments down. We want to hear from you. So please put it in writing for us. It's hard for us to remember all the comments and each one of these pieces of property that we're looking at. So it's best to put it down on paper for us. We have Todd Mueller with Garver and Garver Engineering here today to help us address some of the questions, and he's going to make a few comments before we get started. Okay, also, they've asked you to sign in, please. If you have not signed in, please sign in before you leave.
Anybody like a card brought to the table? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Morning. My name is Todd Mueller. I'm with Garver. We're an engineering firm that specializes in transportation. We've been doing transportation since 1919. And this is Sean Robertson. He's from the city of Bryant. He's been working along this concept that you see up here. Can't hear? Yeah. All right. My name is Todd Mueller. I'm with Garver. Like I said, we've been around since 1919. We specialize in transportation. And this is Sean Robertson, and he's from the city of Bryant. He's been working a lot on the concept that you see up here. The first thing that we want to say today is that this is a concept, and just like Monty said, we have these cards up here for y'all to give us your comments and responses, and this is y'all's facility, so make sure you get those comments to us so we can include your thoughts in this process. We have had some prior meetings with the Planning Commission. We've had some meetings with the City Council, and there's been some adjustments made to this. And some of their input has already been put into the facility that you see up here. Basically, I'm just going to do a brief 5-minute presentation, and y'all can just come up and give us your comments, look through the stuff, look through the typical sections, and let us know your thoughts. The improvements to Boone Road will improve the capacity and the safety of the facility, as well as being aesthetically pleasing to the drivers as they go through the facility. Monty said that the Boone Road does have 5,000 average daily traffic on it, which is a pretty heavy flow for the city of Bryant. The existing lanes on Boone Road are 9 to 10 feet wide, and the side slopes are the ditches that are on the sides that you see, the side slopes don't meet ASTO guidelines for safety at the current time, so they are unsafe. The demand for pedestrian and bicycle traffic has been present since the community center and Bishop Park has been in place. The need for sidewalks and bicycle lanes in the area is present. So kind of on to the proposed improvements and what we have. And again, these are all concept. This is a conceptual stage. But you can see at the map on the left side, we're going all the way from Reynolds Road to Mount Carmel Road. And that's just represented by the red line that goes all the way through the facility. And that is a major east to west corridor through the city of Bryant. And the city's vision is to provide a safe, well-flowing, and aesthetically pleasing route along Boone Road for vehicular, pedestrian, and bicycle traffic. the city desires to follow the concept of complete streets. And basically what complete streets is that you can see along these typical sections. We have from Mount Carmel to Bishop Park. You can see that we're providing for the pedestrian traffic, we're providing for the vehicular traffic, and we're providing for the bicycular traffic. And then from Bishop Park to Tanglewood Road, you can see again it's a complete street. It's providing for the pedestrians, providing for the bicycles and the cars on that section. And then finally from Tanglewood Drive to Reynolds Road, again we're providing for the pedestrian, bicycles, and the cars on that section. So these are the sections that they've come up with. These can be modified and adjusted as per any of the comments that y'all make, but this is kind of what the Planning Commission and the mayor have come up with as a starting point. We've got a couple more things here real quick. The improvements will increase the safety by providing, the wider lane widths and the separation of oncoming traffic. The elimination of the ditches with the curb and gutters will provide the area with improved drainage that reduces standing water in the neighborhood. The proposed bridge will decrease the amount of times that the road floods. And everybody knows where the bridge is at, and I'm sure if you're from this area, you understand that this area does get flooded from time to time. So these improvements will reduce the amount of times that that road floods. The facility will be aesthetically pleasing with, at the current time, the concept includes trees, landscaping, stamped and colored concrete, and the median. So in conclusion of this presentation, the city of Bryant wants to improve a roadway that is unsafe and no longer viable for the amount and type of traffic. The city wants to create a roadway that will serve the community's needs for vehicles, bicycles, and pedestrians. The public, y'all's comments are greatly welcome so they can be incorporated into the planning process. So that concludes, my presentation today, and the big of this meeting is y'all's comments and y'all's input. So we're going to open it up, and everybody can just come up and look at these, ask questions, and give your comments. Monty, do you have anything else before it comes up?
Mayor Davis is here. We'll address some questions at this time if you would like to just ask some questions. Okay, we'll address some questions at this time.
Yes, sir.
We have a 3-lane part in the middle of town here. What if you made it all that way, all the way to Shady Trail? And at least one sidewalk. It seemed like it'd be a lot less expensive. And it would take care of a lot of the left turn issues that you would have all along the way.
Also, it would provide a place for the fire trucks and ambulances. We don't need trees in the middle of our street.
Okay. All of these comments, these are good comments. Put them on your cards. But let me address a couple of them. The Federal Highway Department is pushing out a lot of street improvements that create safer, better streets that are more conducive to neighborhood living. And that's what this is. We don't want Boone Road to be a thoroughfare. We don't want to increase speeds faster than what we already have on Boone Road. We want the speeds to continue to be about 35 miles an hour. We have hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of children that are traveling down this road every day. We have a lot of young drivers because we're so close to schools and parks that are driving between this road. The reason for doing this cut through the particular area that this is designed for is in order to take absolutely as little right-of-way as possible so that we are encroaching on people's personal property as little as possible. We've also made some revisions to remove the sidewalk off of a large section of this from one side of the road, just taking it off. That was a change that came from the public comments from last week's meeting. In regards to trees, when you drive down a tree-lined street, you slow down. You go a little bit slower. We're Tree City, USA. It provides shade, it provides, it's more beautiful. And a median with some trees in it and a little bit of grass is not overly expensive to maintain. We're close to a park. Bishop Park had lots and lots of large trees. And if we come out here and we plant trees along Boone Road, along Woodland Park Road, 20, 30, 40 years from now, we'll have tree-lined streets in the city of Bryant with canopy tree-lined streets. And those are beautiful. They're conducive to the quality of life. They encourage people to get out and walk down the street. If we have sidewalks, the people that live along Boone Road, that live at Woodland Park, that live in Richardson Place, they'll be able to come out their front doors and walk down to the park as opposed to driving down here. These issues also reduce some of the traffic that is on the street for those that are traveling further away. So those are a few of the answers. Those are very valid questions, and that's kind of a line of thought that I came from. But after I've spent a lot of time with engineers like Garver and Dan Burton is a transportation specialist that's been in our city. He's one of the most renowned transportation specialists in the country. And what he said about Bryant when he was here, he's given us about 3 days of pro bono consultation back early in 2011. And one thing he said about Bryant, he said, we're a blank canvas. He said, you've got more potential to build better roads and better streets and do it right the first time and create really good connectivity, create walkable, livable neighborhoods that will be sustainable over a long period of time. One thing that makes a neighborhood safe is the more people you put on the street, the safer it is. If you have an area of town that gets older and it's dilapidated, and that'll happen over time. I mean, time will pass in Bryant. And if that happens, then we'll get areas in our town that have more crime in them. But if you build streets that encourage people to spend time on them, that look like, oh, I want to go for a walk down the street with my family, then we reduce crime over the long term. That in and of itself improves safety, it improves economic development, and it improves quality of life. And those are the things that we're going for. And another thing, then the question is, okay, well, how much is this going to cost? Is it going to cost more to do it this way than to do it the way we've always done it? Or to just build a street with a shoulder on it and no sidewalks? Well, the answer to that is a lot of places we've built streets with 12-foot lanes. A street that you want people to go closer to 35 miles an hour, you want that lane to be closer to 10 feet wide, not 12 feet. Is that correct? It just pulls the traffic down. It pulls the speeds down a little bit more. So you take that extra foot and you put that in the sidewalk, and then you've shared that cost, and you've broadened the scope of the usability of the street. Any questions? Okay.
I understand the concept of the project. Why wasn't this project considered over by the school where our kids are actually in school? Because I know from the middle school all the way up to Boswell, well, not all the way up, but apart, it starts, and there's no sidewalk. Like my daughter, and I live in Richardson Place, she can't walk to school.
Right.
That little area right there, and most of the kids that are coming over here to the Boys and Girls Club are bused. They're not walking, after school hours. They're bused here. So this project, I mean, logically speaking, order-wise, we have more kids that need to walk from school to home versus from home to the center.
Okay, it's a very, very, very good question. That issue is being addressed too. We're doing what's called walk audits throughout the city of Bryant. We're actually applying for a grant through Metro Plan right now. We will find out towards the end of October if we receive this grant or not. And it will encompass that exact area that you're talking about to in the future build it to be a more walkable, safer area for children to walk to and from school. And that's one of our goals, is to make our schools to get as many children, increase the number of children walking to schools for a number of reasons. This project, back to your question, why was this project considered over that? This is about estimated initial cost on this before we start cutting corners. Just, good round ballpark figure from Garver Engineers is about a $9 million project. There's going to be monies available through Safe Routes to Schools that we will apply for the exact project that you're talking about, to start building those sidewalks out, to start adding that drainage, closing those ditches, making that area of town more walkable. That's a smaller project though, and there's pots of money that will be available to fund those type of projects. So at the same time we're working on this, we're working on that from a different angle. The half-cent sales tax that passed in November. Remember the state passed a half-cent sales tax for roads back in November? That's going to create a few different sources of money for the city of Bryant. The first one is going to be our street turnback money. That's just the money that we get every year for pothole patching, maintenance, repairs. It's going to go from about $300,000 a year to $600,000 a year. $600,000 in streets does not go a long ways, but we're glad for the increase, and we'll be using that increase for additional street improvements, connecting those gaps in the sidewalks, improving drainage, those type of things is what that will be used for. There's another pot of money that's going to be created by that, and it's called the State Aid Program. There are about 500 cities in the state of Arkansas. With that state aid money, every city in the state of Arkansas that so chooses, and we have already done so, submits letters of request to this board, this panel that's going to decide what projects are awarded. And these projects will range anywhere from $50,000 to $500,000 in projects. So the state aid money will take care of some of the types of projects that you just mentioned also. We will qualify, Bryant will qualify for some of those state aid monies. And we'll start doing those types of projects with that, in addition to doing something like this. But the reason this project was chosen is because it's $9 million. There's not going to be, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinions, there's not going to be an opportunity to do a project of this magnitude and have the resources to do it with in the foreseeable future. And this is our option. The state aid program is not going to fund a $9 million project. So does that help answer your question? Does that make that more clear? Okay.
I hear a lot in here about improvements and quality of life. The people in this room, a lot of them are going to be adversely affected. It's pretty hard to sell that to someone who is going to lose property values because of loss of land. And as far as being able to afford it later or whatever, this bond issue is not a free lunch for anybody. Even though it's an extension of an existing one, it is still the taxpayer money. The people that are directly affected, as we are, should get as much consideration as the future generations that are going to get. We're taxpayers.
You're absolutely right. And that's the reason that we started last week with a meeting with the landowners that are directly affected by this. We put y'all absolutely first at the front of the line to hear from you first and to get your input. Based on that input that we got last week, and I don't know if you're aware of this yet, we took the sidewalk off of that side of the road. The sidewalk that backs up to Richardson Place, that fence along Richardson Place, that sidewalk has been taken off.
Because we can't exit our property
Right.
back anyway.
That's right, and that was a great, that input led the engineers to suggesting, let's take that off, let's put crosswalks on both ends, so that there's, so we have a lot, and it's
several problems, and I just point out that the least impact that you can do on somebody, not just us, but everybody on the road, is what we should be seeking.
right.
I haven't heard anybody say where the power lines that run down Boone Road, where will they be moved with this plan from Bishop Park to Tanglewood? Will they be moved on the north side of Boone or on the south side? Could somebody address that, please?
That's a question for you.
That's hard to determine at this time in the design, but they could be, yeah, something to think about, and during utility relocations, that'll be thought about. I don't know if they'll go under.
Include that in these widths that you're talking about.
Would it be possible to put them underground?
Yeah, and I mean, one of the best places to put them will be underground, but that will be up to the utility owner. I don't know who the utility owner is right there. First Electric, so maybe we can convince them to put those underground in that area.
We need to know before much more money is spent, all these verifications.
I'd like to ask for everybody in this room to put it on your comment card to request First Electric to put those utilities underground. That would be a real benefit.
That's more expense that the ratepayers pay.
I'm not let you know, that's about $1 million a month.
Oh,
Million a month.
put them up then.
The ratepayers will pay that, that's a hidden tax.
Thank you for that.
Hidden tax.
Well, and just to answer that question about the hidden tax, the costs that we have given to the city do include utility relocations and right-of-way costs and all, total project costs.
Moving those big power lines. You already got that.
Above ground.
In the 9
Probably not underground, but above ground.
Okay, well, we need to know that, so thank you.
All right?
So if you move them above ground, you're pushing them back further in my yard. Because you moved my gate, you're moving my gate back into my yard, which the power lines are so many feet from my gate now. So you're pushing my gate in, and now you're about to push the power lines closer to my house?
I can't answer that question for sure. There could be room in between the back of the curb and the sidewalk. You know, there is a grass buffer there that we can put utilities in that area as well. But I can't answer that question for sure at this stage.
But there's gonna be no sidewalk there.
Right, so that gives us more room, since there's not gonna be a sidewalk on that side, that's going to give us more room for utilities. Squeeze those in.
Yes, sir.
Okay, the Mount Carmel to Bishop Park with the trees and the median, and for that matter, the Bishop Park to Tanglewood, the median. For the people that are living there now, are you gonna pull out of your driveway and have to go one way? How are you gonna cut across that median?
Right now, all of the properties that are existing, that are there, have access to their drives. So if you look at the layout view right over here, you'll see that there's a break that shows an asphalt turn in to your driveway.
So any future houses, that you're gonna have to tear that median out to
The,
allow them access to?
The city is gonna put in place an access management plan, and I can let them speak to who and who will not have access to the facility after this initial facility is built.
Well, that just doesn't seem like, if you have to turn one way and go down here to a turnaround in order to go back towards Benton or Bryant, depending on which side of the road you live, how is that supposed to help with congestion? Looks to me like that's gonna make it 10 times worse.
It creates a situation, I know it's hard to believe, but that actually does help congestions because people are not taking the left side of the driveways, they're all taking rights. And then they're turning around at the same place. All the cars are turning left at the same place. So that does improve traffic flow. And that is one of the advantages to a facility like this. But the mayor and the council have chosen to grandfather everybody in that has access right now and provide them access. So if you want to, right after, come over here and look at this, and we can look at the facility and let you see those lefts in there. Yes, ma'am?
Can you explain the thought around the turnarounds that you have 3 in place on the existing structure? What was the thought behind putting turnarounds? I normally see turnarounds in big metropolitan areas, not in smaller towns like Bryant. So can you give me, what was the thought behind putting the turnarounds at those 3 intersections?
Yeah, right now, these are conceptual layouts, and we've chosen those locations because the city has done some preliminary studies, and there are signals required at some of these intersections. So the signals are warranted there. And the city has chosen to use an alternative intersection, which is a roundabout. And roundabouts are actually a better flowing intersection than a signal. So they do handle more traffic in those areas. They are new. If you go to Conway, they have a lot of them in Little Rock, and they are very safe intersections. They're the safest intersection out there. I know that's hard to believe because they are confusing the first time you drive through them, but they are very safe because there are no head-on collisions in the roundabout.
Are there multiple lanes or single?
These right here are shown as single. We don't know for sure at this time.